Hello everyone. How's your day? I hope you all are doing absolutely fine. A quick question before we start. I'm doing a little experiment with the background of the video. Do you guys prefer something simple like this or the gameplay of the games I played? Please share your thoughts on the comment section. Okay, back to the video. Welcome to our /malicious_compliance, where as always we have 4 stories from that subreddit. These stories are on the what the heck side. Like the first one where OP was told to do something quite impossible, but still get punished for some reason. Enjoy!
Ordered to do maintenance on a grill without the right equipment. Grill was broken trying anyways. A little bit of backstory to help explain some of the later facts. In the military, every piece of equipment gets preventative maintenance done on it to maintain it in good, working condition. In the Navy, we have a very well laid out maintenance system with step-by-step instructions on how to do every bit of maintenance, with instructions so simple a monkey could do it. Part of these maintenance procedures lists required tools, parts, materials, and test equipment, and they are also extremely specific, detailing the length requirement of your screwdrivers, the brand of your gauges, etc. The management of this system the Navy uses is called the Maintenance and Material Management System, 3M, or Planned Maintenance System, PMS. As an electrician, we owned all electrical distribution equipment on board, and for jobs without an electrical training background, we also owned the actual equipment. So the electronics technicians with electrical training could maintain their own electrical equipment. But the cooks, culinary specialists, without an electrical background, relied on us to maintain their equipment for them. Now, if you've ever used a commercial flat-top grill/griddle before, you know you set it to a specific temperature you want the cooktop heated to, and not a 0 to 9 dial like your stove at home. Part of maintaining the griddle was checking the calibration of this temperature setting once every year or two. I forget how often this check was, but it wasn't a frequent check. Relatively early on when I got on board the ship, young EMFN, junior electrician, GwenBD94 was assigned to do this maintenance check. So I gathered all of my tools, parts, materials, etc. In doing so, I couldn't find the proper temperature sensor for our calibrated temperature gauge. We had the round-tip ambient temperature probe for use in the ovens, but not the flat-tip surface temperature probe for use on a griddle. I asked a different supervisor to my favorite supervisor for help, and he couldn't find it either, so we ordered a new one, and he said he'd take care of the paperwork for the maintenance check. Being new and unfamiliar with the system, I let it go and never questioned when the maintenance check disappeared from the maintenance list the next week. Meaning someone accomplished it, hint hint nudge nudge, and all was good. The next time this maintenance check came up due, we were on deployment, and it was again assigned to me. By this time, we had a new supervisor, and I was now EM3, slightly less junior electrician, GwenBD94, a bit more knowledgeable. I looked where we kept all our calibrated equipment and couldn't find the flat-top temperature probe I knew it needed, so I asked my supervisor. He found we had one on order but didn't know that we had one in the shop, and told me to figure it out. Knowing that was an unlawful order and would amount to lying about the check and could bite me in the ass later, I said I wouldn't do the maintenance without the right equipment, and since he couldn't lawfully order me to, we started putting a note on the check that the tools were on order and delaying it. This went on for about 2 to 3 months until the check was about to go red. Move out of periodicity and cause negative numbers on out maintenance reports. And I was again ordered to figure it out or I'd be written up. I refused, and raised the same issue to my boss's boss, and we tore the shop apart trying to find the right equipment but couldn't find it. So he told me not to worry about it. Later that week, while I was on watch as a roving watchstander, allowed to walk around the ship and even required to, after dinner one evening I saw a newer, more junior electrician, let's call him EMFA Timmy, even more junior than I initially was electrician, in the galley kitchen, working on the griddle. I took a step into the galley and asked him what he was doing, and lo and behold, he was doing the maintenance check. I asked him what temperature probe he was using, and he showed me the one for the oven. I explained to him the issue and told him if he signed the maintenance check it would be gun decking, lying on official paperwork, and he could get in trouble, but let him make his own decisions as an adult. He decided to continue doing the check. I giggled and continued on with my watch. After my watch, it was nearly 10 p.m., so I went to bed for the night. About an hour later, I got woken up, being told my supervisor needed me in the galley. I signed, figuring it was about the check, and I was going to get that earlier threatened write-up. After getting dressed and making it to the galley, The entire electrical shop was in the galley troubleshooting the griddle. You see, EMFA Timmy got to the step in the PMS where it said to use a screwdriver to adjust a dial until the thermometer read the same temperature indicated by the set temperature. When he measured it, it was off by about 150 degrees, so he kept turning up the heat. Eventually, it was hot enough to melt the griddle's built-in overtemp protection device, instantly shutting the stovetop off. Turns out, he did need that temperature probe. I was tasked with helping come up with a solution to fix it, because the griddle was a critical piece of equipment for the cooks, and we had no replacement parts to fix it. I asked EMFA Timmy if he ever finished the last steps of the maintenance card. Turning the grill off, putting it back together, reporting completion of the PMS. He told me he hadn't. I turned to my boss and said since the maintenance check I explicitly advised against doing without the proper tools was still ongoing, and I was informed I could do the maintenance or be written up, I'd stick with my original decision and refuse to do the maintenance. He could write me up in the morning during working hours, but in the meantime I was going back to bed. Have a nice night. In the morning I did indeed get written up, but for the insubordination, not for refusing the maintenance check. While my boss looked on with the biggest shit-eating grin at me for holding my ground, and my supervisor was pissed at me. Turns out, I was right and we couldn't do that maintenance check without the right equipment. This remains one of my write-ups I am least ashamed to have ever gotten, and I'd take it again in a heartbeat to give a giant, I told you so, middle finger to idiot middle managers. I later found an electronic record of the counseling chit my supervisor got for tasks people with doing maintenance without the proper equipment, because I laid out that this was a known issue we didn't have the right probe for years and threw his ass deep under the bus, hated the guy. We got the right probe in about 6 months later. TLDR. I got told to do a job I couldn't do or get written up. I refused, someone dumber got roped into doing it, stuff broke, I got told to help fix it. I said I already accepted being written up for opting out of this experience and took the write-up.
This story is a good malicious compliance. You held your ground in the face of absurdity and incompetence, refused to compromise your integrity, and got the ultimate I told you so moment when the griddle literally melted down due to their stupidity. This is a story of competence versus idiocy, and competence wins.
Charge truck battery at point B 'cause it's cheaper. This ain't my story, but a friend's, who's a truck driver. Recently, the contractor company said friend's boss works with got an electric truck. This is a big company, they already got a few of them, but at a different location, where charging is far easier due to many stations around. 'Cause it seems to go well? Yeah, it seems. 'Cause next year the electric trucks won't be exempt from paying tolls, and mind you, an electric truck costs twice as much as a full option Scania. They thought it'd be a great idea and good promo to get another e-truck at the location my friend works at. Only before ordering nobody checked on charging stations or even the distances and roads this guy drives, only that his hometown is practical for their endeavor. Now comes the good part. Turns out we ain't got many stations that can charge a truck. I am no electrician by any means, but I'd still consider myself technically apt, so I went through the hassle to talk to this company. Tried explaining that charging a battery is like filling a barrel, only that you attach the hose to the bottom, so you need a certain amount X of base pressure to get that shit flowing, and because most charging stations only pack 75 to 150 kilowatts, that's a no-go for a truck. The only 300 kilowatt station in the area is located in the next city, not too far, but traffic sucks. Imagine driving an hour to make a 10 distance. But management had other problems entirely. Turns out their problem was that the 300 kilowatt station charges, to know the exact value, methinks like 80 CT/kW. The 150 kilowatt station, however, costs only 65 CT/kW, so they demanded he charge the truck where it's cheaper. And here it gets even better. This here is the reason why I tried reasoning with them, to no avail of course. Not every charging station is built to accommodate a truck, not even the ones that pack 300 kilowatts. Which means my man here has to first find an empty space to leave his trailer. Once you're done with that, you still gotta find an empty lot to park and charge. And once you're there, there's still the possibility of someone parking next to you and grabbing the second charging cable of the station, which then halves the performance to 75 kilowatts. Just for reference, even charging at a 300 kilowatt station takes 2H, so after our arguments hit a brick wall, he gave in. You want me to waste valuable time on a piss-poor charger, just 'cause it's a little bit cheaper? Fine. Next day he proceeds to charging. After 2 or 3 hours the office gets the jitters. because work keeps piling up and they can't always manage to bring the freight in time. So they call him, "Aren't you done charging yet?" "Nope. Not even close, buddy. When TF are you planning on returning? We need you at work. You know a truck only brings in money when it's rolling, not parking. I ain't the one that came up with the idea to charge a fucking truck at a 150 kW station. You sent me here. I tried explaining it you, but you wouldn't listen. And unless you want me to come over just to look for the next charging station, you'll have to wait." "How long?" "Welp, I just hit the 17% mark, so I'ma be here for a while." He was camped out there the whole day, didn't get shit done, and at the end the battery still wasn't fully charged. They never bothered him again.
A masterpiece of malicious compliance. Your friend turned a logistical nightmare into a textbook example of why management needs to think things through before making impulsive decisions.
Exempt employee. Sick with COVID and emailed my boss that I can't come in. I asked if I can work from home, but he said no and I should take the day off. The next day I asked again, just so I won't use up my sick days. He finally said yes and that I should only work half day and use 4 hours in sick leave. Not too happy, but I do what I was told, and then got an email from HR. Exempt employees get full day of pay as long as they work at least 50% of the day. Since then I've been leaving work early when I finish my work for the day. It's been pretty much 5 to 6 hour days for me. Technically, my boss is from another department, and we seldom have to cross paths.
Oh, this is gold. Your boss inadvertently handed you the ultimate work-life balance hack, and you ran with it like a champ.
You wrote the rules. This goes back to my days working at a large public transit authority. They stressed safety at every point related to moving buses, particularly within the depot and outside parking lots. We had 250 buses. As you can imagine, moving large vehicles around in tight spaces can be hard on buses, infrastructure, and people. The layout for our outside lot required about 50 buses to be backed in. 2 rows of 25 nose to tail. Rules required that when backing a bus, we always had to have a backup helper. For obvious reasons, backing 15-ton vehicles into other 15-ton vehicles can lead to mayhem, especially after dark and in poor weather. Management decided they didn't want to pay someone to stand around and do this. There were 6 shifters, operators working the yard to move buses after they pulled in, parked for the night, or moved to maintenance. Rules state you never leave a bus unattended. If it's running, someone is in the seat. First night, first bus goes outside and calls the yard dispatcher for help. Yard dispatcher ignores them. Next bus, same thing. After the 6th bus arrives in the yard waiting for backup help, the line for pull-ins was 10 deep around the block and all the shifters were in the yard. The neighborhood hates the depot anyway. Calls to police begin about buses blocking the streets. Yard dispatcher is flipping out. The backup guy was back within the hour. On overtime for the balance of the pick, about 3 months, since management had eliminated the job. It usually went to an operator on restricted duty for whatever reason. They wrote the rules. Not our job to ignore them.
This is a classic tale of malicious compliance mixed with a dash of chaos. You all handled that situation like pros while letting management's penny-pinching decision implode on itself. Hey there! If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. It really helps out the channel. And if you want more content like this, make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay fine.